Hey everyone! Today we're going to discuss why human drivers are like a box of chocolates, while robot drivers, on the other hand, are more like a bag of Skittles. You always know what you're going to get. With recent headlines about Autopilot allegedly being involved in some high-profile crashes, I thought it'd be a good time to give my thoughts and a bit of perspective on where I believe we're currently at with Tesla's approach to self-driving, and perhaps give some people a little reality check in regards to how it compares to something we should all be familiar with, human drivers. Good example here of human ability following at a safe distance and avoiding slowing traffic for a hazard. Yeah, just kidding. I'm going to do my best to keep this video as lighthearted as possible, but buckle up, because we're going to be discussing some sensitive subjects that can be uncomfortable to talk about and which you may find disturbing. Consider yourself warned.
Deadly crash, the car on autopilot using advanced technology. A big feature of the Tesla vehicle in question.
Our human brains are only capable of a limited amount of heartbreak. This is why it's easy to remember individual news segments about those times Autopilot made a mistake, sometimes even a fatal mistake, but much harder to fully grasp the scale of tragedy that occur on our roads every day. To drive this point home, let's do a little thought experiment that should hopefully make the numbers I'm about to tell you a little more digestible. Imagine that all 275 million vehicles in the United States were replaced with Teslas with no steering wheel. Everyone's now forced to sit passenger and let the car do the driving. Probably sounds like the beginning of a horror film for many people, and maybe for good reason, because after the first year of this hypothetical rollout, 500,000 crashes occur and 4,000 people lose their lives. That is thousands of automated car accidents and human fatalities in the double digits every single day for a full year. Just imagine the news reports, the interviews with people whose loved ones were taken far too early. People would be outraged and fear for their lives. But yet, the data from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration paints a very different, startling picture. The numbers aren't here yet for last year, but in 2021, there were over 5 million traffic accidents and 42,915 fatalities on the roads in the US alone, and 2022 is looking to be even worse. Autopilot would have saved nearly 39,000 theoretical lives that year and would have been more than 10 times less likely to be involved in an accident. So that does beg the question, without all this hypothetical stuff, how does Autopilot compare to human drivers right now? Tesla's latest vehicle safety report shows Autopilot having a few quarters where it was indeed 10 times safer than the average American driver. And for those skeptics who think Autopilot disengages before it crashes to skew the stats, think again. The news paints Autopilot as a reckless driving companion, but it's a misunderstood hero on our roads. It may make some mistakes, but it's also preventing an unimaginable amount of accidents caused by human error. It never checks its phone while driving, never has one too many drinks, and is always watching all 360 degrees at once and is paying full attention to its surroundings. Humans, on the other hand, have better things to be doing than driving. The vast majority of people I see on the road are distracted. This is probably a good time to share another NHTSA report that surveyed over 2 million crashes and found that 94% of them were caused by human error. 94%. Like all statistics, this number is debated, but one thing is clear. The vast majority of crashes are caused by human error. One such error I see a lot in the media is this issue of sudden unintended acceleration, especially in Tesla vehicles. This happens when people mistake the accelerator for the brake and then make it worse by pressing the pedal even harder when the car isn't doing what they expect. As you can probably imagine, massive problem in something as fast as a Tesla. In fact, reports of unintended acceleration in Tesla vehicles are much higher than other passenger vehicles, so much so that the NHTSA looked into it by request, but of course, after doing a full investigation, found zero evidence of any defects with Tesla vehicles. All evidence points to a disturbing trend of pedal misapplication. The example you're looking at now is a great example of this, which unfortunately caused loss of life for multiple pedestrians. Not a brake light in sight. But unlike other cars, Teslas continually improve and can send out firmware updates which can help in these scenarios. Here you can see someone who probably owes their mobility to Autopilot. The driver of this Tesla accidentally presses the accelerator all the way down, as you can see on the graph, but the car stops in its tracks before it hits the person behind him. Here's another one where the car would have probably gone straight into this store and took out grandma on the way. Tesla says they get more than 40 pedal misapplications saved every single day, which is insane to think about, and is all data being sent back to improve the system even more. It can't help in all cases, though. Here in this last example, the car saves the pedal misapplication going forward, but then the driver shifts to reverse and keeps the accelerator pedal hard down. Human's gonna human. You can't help everyone. Tesla's technology is already out there saving countless lives in ways you'll never hear about on the evening news. This is why I don't understand comments like this one, which are becoming pretty common on my channel, saying they don't consent to be on the same roads with people using Autopilot. Like, are you kidding me? Are we driving on the same roads? The amount of crazy people with no regard to other safety I see basically anytime I drive anywhere is insane and makes me rage every time I think about it. In fact, for the remainder of this video, I'm going to show you some Humanpilot Tesla cam clips I've gathered over the last few months. All this stuff is just an average day of driving here in the Bay Area, as I'm sure anyone else who lives around here can attest to. Like this fine gentleman here who bends my rearview mirror backwards because Autopilot was driving too centered in its lane. But joke's on you, buddy. It's a Tesla. The full self-driving beta actually does handle these motorcycle situations better than the highway Autopilot. I've experienced it moving over in its lane early when I didn't even realize one was approaching from the rear. But I feel like no matter what, people will always find a way to get pissed off. Here we are going 80 in the fast lane, but not fast enough for this guy. Look how close he gets to my mirror. Look how little room for error there is here. You'd think you want to be a little safer when you don't have thousands of pounds of metal surrounding you, but nope. Just blast on and give everyone the finger instead. And this guy keeping his tires warm just in case. I mean, you never know, right? All right. I know I'm getting a little too caught up in narrating these clips. Some of this stuff is just too unbelievable to me. To summarize, driving is hard. Human emotions are also at play, which adds fuel to the already blazing fire. Most people driving are completely oblivious to their surroundings, and I gotta tell you guys, I didn't consent to that. But neither did the 40,000 plus last year who never made it to the new year, or the 40,000 that won't this year. Unfortunately, this risk is just a part of driving right now. All we can do is keep looking at the numbers, and with human errors on an upward trend and Autopilot errors on a downward trend, I think the future looks bright. And as long as all the data points to Autopilot being a safer driver than the average American, I really don't care if you don't consent to me using it. Hopefully in a few years, robotaxis become a real thing and get so cheap that the people who don't want to be driving in the first place will have no reason to do so. But remember, like any endeavor, people are going to lose their lives in this process. So the next time you see Autopilot allegedly messing up on the news and causing an 8-car pileup, just ask yourself how many times did humans do that on that same day. I really hope that NHTSA and other government agencies follow the numbers and crash statistics and don't get sucked into the emotional response that the news is forcing on people. Teslas get clicks and are massively overreported in the news media. The vast majority of articles I see would not be articles at all if a Tesla hadn't been involved. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you got all the way through. I really appreciate you. Hopefully this gave you a little bit of insight into a very real problem we face on the roads. Until next time, everyone. Bye.